The pursuit of self-love starts with forgiveness. I think that was the hardest thing for me to realize growing up. Growing up as someone who was a bit of a perfectionist, I thought that anything that wasn't the best or my best was not good enough, and was a sign that I was not necessarily worthy of being loved, or truly worthy of loving myself. In order to feel that I'm worthy of loving myself, I think it took a willingness to listen to the people around me in my life. And I think that that's a key skill that needs to be developed regardless of whether you're working on loving yourself or being able to look at yourself and be able to change. It's about surrounding yourself with people who are willing to be honest with you, willing to treat you with enough respect to look out for the best for you, regardless of whether or not that is simply agreeing with you. If you are someone who is fortunate enough to have loved ones, to be surrounded by loved ones, or even have a few people who you truly trust in your life, if you can see the reasons why they love, appreciate, and or respect you, you can start to look for that in yourself. If you can start to love others for their imperfections, love others despite their problems, despite the things that make them human, then you can look to love yourself in spite of all of those things, or not in spite, despite of all of those things as well. Loving yourself, at least when I was younger, before I was able to find what that truly meant to me, I associated loving yourself with a highly inflated ego, an aloofness, a domineering sense of self. Once I began to acknowledge that loving yourself does not mean that you love others any less, and on top of it, that loving yourself allows you to love others more. It gives you the platform to be able to be vulnerable and understand that my flaws, my imperfections are not things that make me unworthy of love. It allows you to share them with other people more readily and become closer with them. A lot of things in life are feedback loops. And as you continue to learn and practice loving yourself, that is key. Loving yourself is not a state of being. It is something that ebbs and flows like everything in life. It is something that you have to have discipline in order to maintain. It is something that you have to work hard. It's something that takes energy to maintain. It's something that you have to continue to reevaluate and reassess and question what makes you worthy of loving yourself, what makes you worthy of others loving you, and how can you work in order to love yourself more. That is something that is different for everybody. One universality is that gratitude and presence can really be a key to unlocking a lot of positives in your life. Being able to pat yourself on the back when you truly deserve it. Look internally for your own reward system. I think that I've struggled with this recently. I've had some struggles with applications. It's not going horribly, but it's not going well. I can tell you that for darn sure, at least so far. You know, maybe it'll go well soon. I had to remind myself to try to maintain a process-oriented mindset and look at what I put together in my applications as the value and the worthiness of what I feel about my applications as opposed to the results. That does not mean that I've been ignoring the results. It's been a constant struggle. I'm striving and continually trying to remind myself and working hard to try to forgive myself or be forgiving to myself and understand that perfection is not something that is a realistic expectation for any process, and especially processes that are now out of your hands. Although I can say that the process has not necessarily greatly impacted my love for myself, it did prove to me, and it does prove to me, self-love is a continued effort. Even when you think that you find it, you have to continue to work for it. And it's something that can come and go. It's something that is not permanent. It's not a state of being. And I continue to strive for it every single day. And I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by people who love me. I work to understand why they love me. Not just that they do, because as much as it's said, love is not a given, but why do they love me, and what can I see that I love about myself as well, and how might they overlap? Again, I guess this application process is a nice proxy, because I've shared my applications with my mother and some other people in my life, and it's been a confirming process to me, because they see in my application what I saw in my own. And although externally the process has not gone as well as I wanted to so far, I've found a lot of solace recently in the understanding that there is something in my application, my process, that is worthy of being respected, is worthy of being admired. And I think that can translate a lot over into love for oneself. When you tie your self-love to status, when you tie your self-love to success or ability in a singular area, then I think that makes your self-love fragile. A smart rat has many holes to run to, so that when the river rises, they have somewhere to go. If you're a fiscal person, you're thinking fiscally, you need to have a diversified portfolio in order to have stable success. Playing baseball, and you think that having a diverse repertoire in your pitch selection can allow you to fall back on different things. Having multiple disciplines that you're talented at, they can all feed back into each other, and you can understand and grow by learning in one discipline. It can provide to another discipline, and you can learn things across disciplines that you wouldn't find if you just stuck in one. I think that can also apply to your own self-love, looking for different reasons to love yourself and different reasons why you're worthy of loving yourself can be a very successful and helpful thing of leaning on your family, leaning on your friends, leaning on some things of yourself that you're proud of, looking to understand, well, why, what about my talents, what about what I'm good at makes me feel good? Is it my usefulness? Is it my ability? Is it the external validation? And try to understand, what feelings does external validation give you? What forms of validation can you look to find in yourself? Taking the time to stop and smell the roses of the good in your life. I think that, being an optimist is not just simply saying things will work out well. I think being an optimist is being willing to look for the good of what's currently standing and wonder why it makes you feel good and what about it makes you feel good. Questioning is sort of a fundamental part of stability, not resting on a way of stating of being, because the only truth in life is that things will change. What makes you love yourself now might not make you love yourself in the future. What's going well for you now might not be going well for you in the future. Who's in your life now might not be in your life in the future. In fact, the one truth of life is that everybody will die. So your relationships with everybody will end at some point. It's that understanding of what about your relationship with people, what about your relationship with yourself is worthy of love, and how can you understand and justify to yourself that you are worthy of the love that you feel? Or if you don't feel a lot of love, how can you find the places that you feel valued and feel loved, and how can you foster and water those plants and water those seeds and develop those relationships with yourself and with others into a way that finds a more robust sense of self. As you find that you're more able to love others, or you're more able to love yourself, it feeds back across lines, and it also then turns into a sort of confidence. A confidence in your ability to love and be loved is a very true form of confidence. A confidence in your ability to find gratitude, your ability to seek, your ability to acknowledge, your ability to be present in the things that you're grateful of, the love that you receive, the love that you have for yourself. It's something that can be a platform for your confidence. And again, those things won't be linear. There'll be points in your life where you're away from all of your loved ones, but you might still be able to practice gratitude strongly, and you're able to love yourself. There might be times where you're able to love yourself, but you might not be away from loved ones. You might not have much to be grateful for, and there's times where you have none of it. But the thing about loving yourself, the thing about loving others, the thing about being grateful is, again, like everything, it's a skill set. And even if it might not be present in the moment, if you can continue to practice and develop your skill set, at least you can trust in yourself that no matter where you are, you'll be able to find a way to find that love in your life again. And I think that that can be a very freeing thing. And that can be, again, a path that gives you more confidence. And that confidence can feed back into your own love. And in this conversation, self-love and confidence are things that can be viewed as a double-edged sword, as something that can also maybe even be a negative if you love yourself too much, if you're overly confident. But I think that there's a difference between internal love, internal confidence, and your external portrayal of that. If you can be as confident in others as you are in yourself, if you can love others as much as you love yourself, if you can be confident in yourself as much as you are in others, if you can love yourself as much as you love others, then I think that that comes across to be much more authentic and much more true, because it quite literally is so. Love can waver, confidence can waver, but I think that when I was growing up, a fear of loving myself too much, a fear of being too confident, held me back from a basal level of confidence that I think everybody should have, a basal level of self-love that I think everybody should have. The more you're able to become confident and the more you're able to love yourself, the more tolerance you have for other people's self-love and self-confidence. And you can start to recognize and differentiate what is self-love, what is confidence, and what is narcissism and what is egotism, or what is being egotistical, I should say. The difference between narcissism and self-love is something that's basal in any loving relationship, whether it's yourself or others, and that's honesty. Being able to be honest with yourself, both in ways that you need to improve and in the ways that you should love yourself, and being honest to others and acknowledge to others the ways that you need to improve, is the difference between falling into narcissism and a confident self-love. That is a line that must be towed, but it's also a line that most people don't have to worry about, because narcissism and true self-love are not the same thing. Many times narcissism is putting all of your self-love into one basket, hiding behind an identity that externally receives a lot of validation, whether that be someone's ability in a certain field, athletics, academics, art, someone's attractiveness, or even someone's control over another, can all be avenues that someone thinks of themselves highly in, someone's power, I should say, that someone thinks of themselves highly in, and can use as a facade of self-love that they both internally and externally abuse. A well-rounded self-confidence, one that acknowledges imperfection, one that emphasizes honesty, one that is willing and able to take criticism from others and yourself, is something that is diametrically opposed to narcissism. However, I do think that they can blend. You can convince yourself of confidence, you can convince yourself of honesty in ways that don't truly allow you to reflect. And I think that that's, again, a key portion of self-love, is a continual reflection. And self-love is not abandoning the internal critique that you used to have. It's not abandoning the critiques of others. It's acknowledging them and working with them. It's an iterative process. It's a process that's ever evolving. And you have to question, do I love myself enough? Do I love myself too much? Am I able to take criticism? Am I not? What about me makes me think this way? What about me makes me love myself? What about me does not? And what events in my life are facilitating or harming my own self-love? Because it can be pretty easy to love yourself when things are going well. And it can be pretty easy to hate yourself when things are going wrong. But are you honest enough? Are you disciplined enough? Are you truthful enough? Do you listen to others enough to be able to love yourself, or to be able to criticize yourself in times of extreme? Again, I think, like all things, it is a process that will forever evolve and forever will require practice. As different events come in your life, as different people walk into your life, as you change and grow as a person, the things that you value, the things that you love, the things that you love about yourself, the things that you love about others, the others that love you, the things that others love about you, will all change. The key to finding consistency is to continue to question, continue to diversify your sources of critique, your sources of confidence, your sources of love, and your sources of gratitude, and your avenues to express all of those emotions. Expressing your self-love, expressing your love for others, expressing your own desire to improve are all just as important as feeling those desires, because things can spin around in your brain, but when you put them out to the world, when you express them overtly, it provides a certain power to them that is not the same. You expressing them externally allows for accountability, because then your thoughts are not just ones to be judged by yourself, but they're there to be judged by others. And it allows you to be honest with yourself. If you were to write a diary, or you were to do words of self-affirmation, or you were to talk to your friends, or I guess if you're to put it out on YouTube, it is a line in the sand of your mentality, and it's a reflection of your mentality in the moment. That mentality will always change, but being able to look back on your past self and understand who you were and what you said and how you thought can give you information on how to change. You can look at yourself, you can look at the video that you put on the internet, you can look at, you can talk with your family or your friends and say, who was I at this time? What made me tick? What made me me? What did I love about myself? What did I love to change? What did I want to change? What parts of life do I think that I got? What parts of life did I have no clue about? What was I wise about? What was I naive about? That release and willingness to give your emotions externally, again, allows for another level of self-critique. It's just like if you were to write an essay. Iteration is key to a good product. And it's almost impossible to iterate, if not entirely impossible to iterate entirely in your own head. So I will say that a big part of self-love is a willingness to express yourself. A big part of love in general is a willingness to express yourself. Being willing and able to do so takes practice. You can practice by journaling, by creating art, by creating vlogs, by creating blogs. You can practice with others by talking with them, by being vulnerable with them, by sharing your words and your thoughts and your opinions to others. Putting yourself out there makes you put a line in the sand and allows you to iterate on your past words. To make a short story long and then make that long story back to being short. I would say that self-love begins with forgiveness. It begins with acknowledging that you as a person are imperfect, but it also must come with a discipline to understand that even though you are imperfect, you have the discipline and desire to improve. And an imperfect being with the discipline and desire to prove is worthy of being loved. And that process and that understanding takes practice in itself. And as you're looking for things to love about yourself, as you're looking for those things that make you, that make you unique, you can lean on the people in your life or the identities that you have that give you confidence and that make you love yourself. You can ask yourself, why do they make me love myself? What about myself is worthy of being loved? Why does that feel good, and how does it make me feel good? And that process is a process that you must express in order to be able to iterate upon. Being and expressing your own self and your own psyche and being willing to be vulnerable enough to put that out there allows you to iterate upon your mentality and shape it in a way that services you and the world around you. Because you only have one mind. You only have one place where your thoughts can exist in. So you might as well make it somewhere, or work to make it somewhere that you enjoy. You only have one you. You'll be stuck with yourself till the day you die. You might as well try to learn to love yourself, your imperfections, your strengths and weaknesses, and everything in between. If you appreciated this video, I have no idea how I'm going to edit it. I have no idea how it's going to come out. I would appreciate you liking or subscribing or disliking and just giving me any sort of feedback possible. I spend a lot of time on the road driving to see my loved ones, and I have plenty of time to get out all of these car thoughts. So along with some other video ideas, I think I would love to do this more regularly, both as a form of my own self-expression, but who knows, maybe my mentality and my thoughts can help someone else out there. And if I can make the world just a little bit better place, or make just a couple people, just give them a little bit of edge to be able to love themselves more and forgive themselves and others a little bit more in their life, then I think that I'm doing a good thing. So hopefully the rest of my drive is safe and things go well, and hopefully you enjoy. Thank you.